Hello, friends. Happy Thursday. I am so excited that you could be here with us. If you're in St. Louis tuning in, you know that it's kind of been like a couple of like weird, dreary days. And so I've just been looking forward to this evening for us all day because I can't think of a better way to spend a like rainy Thursday evening than like talking about new romance books. If you aren't familiar with me or haven't seen my face before, I'm Stephanie Skews. I'm our director of events for the novel Neighbor, which is a women-owned and operated independent bookstore located in St. Louis, Missouri. We are such huge fans of romance. If you don't know, we have a huge romance book club. We would love to invite you if you're in the local area. And so romance is just one of our favorite things to hand sell. It's something that gets our employees so excited. And so we are thrilled that Berkley is here tonight, that we have two amazing people to talk to us about some amazing books that are coming out. I feel like as a bookseller, this is a super special treat for me to get to hear somebody hand sell books to me that I haven't read yet. So I think we're going to have a ton of fun. Please know questions, comments, all of the things are on the table. We want this to be super interactive. Our two guests are just already, I can tell, are going to be a blast. And like we all discussed, is going to be very casual. So please get those questions in the comments wherever you're watching, and we'll make sure that we get to them. Or just show your excitement for an author. I know we have some debut and new authors on this list that deserve a lot of love as well. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce our two guests. Our first one is Erin Galloway, who's the director of publicity for Berkley. She has worked with many best-selling authors. All of these are going to hit a certain spot for all of you, but they include Carly Fortune, Jasmine Guillory, Laurel K. Hamilton, Allie Hazelwood, Helen Huang, Nalini Singh, and Jessie Sutanto. I mean, what an incredible list of authors, right? Erin holds a Master of Publishing degree from Pace University and counts herself lucky to have made a career out of falling in love with great books and telling others why they should love them too. Her passions include food and wine, both of which can be accompanied by an excellent book. Our second guest is Kristin Cipolla, who is forever chasing happily ever after. She has worked in publishing for 6 years and recently joined Berkley in 2022, where she has gotten to work on some of the best novels romance has to offer. When Kristin is not reading, she loves to bullet journal, cuddle her cat, and annoy her husband relentlessly. And I asked her how to pronounce her name twice and still messed her last name up.
No,
y'all.
you did it. You did
Okay,
perfect.
I think I still did it wrong. So I'm so glad, Kristin. Thank you for your patience. Kristin, Erin, thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to hear you talk about all these amazing books. I got a little preview of the list, and I know we're going to have such a great time.
Oh, thank you so much for having us. This is so fun just to be able to talk about the books we love. Romance is our day job. So literally getting paid to fall in love with great books and then talk about them to other people couldn't be a better job.
We have been looking forward to this all day, and we cannot be more excited.
I'm so thrilled. All right, I'm going to turn it over to you two. I'll be back here. I'm also going to insert some of my own questions. So can't wait.
Awesome. Yay. Well,
All right.
I think we're going to go chronologically in terms of release date, right, Kristin?
Yes. All right. So that means I am up first, and I have the privilege of talking about Do I Know You by married duo Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca. This book comes out January 24th, so very, very soon. So imagine a young married couple goes away to celebrate their 5-year wedding anniversary, but things are definitely not going well. And somehow, some way, they end up in separate hotel rooms. Some would think that's a bad thing, but to them, it is a much needed break. And later that same night, they get introduced as strangers. And instead of making the correction, they decide to spend the entire weekend acting as if they've never met one another. So you can imagine what happens from there. A big discussion we've had with Emily and Austin over the past few months is this idea of falling in love and staying in love. And we have determined that the act of staying in love is the same as falling in love. And if you sit on that for a while, I think it'll give you all the feels. I really, really adore this one. It feels so very special. I could not put it down when I started reading it. We know and we love the second chance romance trope, but I don't think there are many that follow a young married couple. And that is what makes this one so different. I personally felt very seen as a young married person. I didn't think there were a lot of books that related to me, and this one did. So I think Do I Know You gives you an insight into marriage and the ugly parts of it, but also the really beautiful and hopeful parts. And I think it's going to stay with you long after you finish. It definitely did for me. I read it over 6 months ago, and I still talk about it as much as I can. And bonus points because Emily and Austin are huge Taylor Swift fans, as am I. So we can all be in the same boat together. Next up, another January read we are super, super excited about is Sorry Bro by Talene Vuskuni. This is a debut author that Berkley is so thankful to have on our roster. So in Sorry Bro, we meet Nar, and she has just broken up with her tech bro boyfriend, and think every stereotype, and that is what he is. Needless to say, her mother is not very pleased by this, and she is determined to throw Nar into the San Francisco Armenian social scene. She even has an Excel sheet of all male prospects available in the Tri-Town area. Notice I said male, not female, and that is because while Nar may be bisexual, no one knows, especially her family. She's forced to live this double life of sorts where she's afraid to reveal her sexuality in a culture that historically has not been so kind to those who don't identify as straight. And then she meets Erebuni, and all bets are off. Erebuni is everything Nar wishes she could be. She's proudly Armenian and bisexual, and it is inevitable that Nar's two lives collide. And Sorry Bro is really an exploration of what that looks like. What I really love about this one is the focus that Talene puts on Armenian culture. From the very beginning, she knew that she was going to be writing with the intention of educating people on who Armenians are, what their history is, why they matter, and the importance of queer and Armenian joy. She clearly writes from a very deeply personal perspective as a queer Armenian woman who feels that the culture is vastly underrepresented. I think that's really brave and amazing, and I feel very lucky to be working on this book. It's a very special one. And I actually see a question related to Do I Know You? Do we get any Taylor Swift references? Not in this book, but I can tell you some songs to listen to while reading. You can listen to Paris from which one is that? Is that the Midnight's album now? And then you can listen to This Love, and then also simultaneously watch To All the Boys I Loved Before, because those two shows and song go together.
Everyone knows you are such a T Swift fan. And now, folks, it gets hard because I'm going to segue into books that you will not be able to read for at least another month or more. So I am sorry in advance for getting you excited for things that it's going to be a little while until you can read. However, I know that everyone's to be read pile is like literally limitless. So now I'm just giving you some more to add to it. So next up is Best Served Hot by Amanda Elliott, which releases on February 21st. I love a foodie romance. Like, as mentioned, I'm obsessed with food. And bonus, you can eat food while reading a book. So fantastic. And in this particular one, Julie Zimmerman is an executive assistant by day, and by night, she is at Julie Z Eats NYC, a social media restaurant reviewer. And as much as she loves this being her side hustle, what she most desperately wants is to be a legitimate food critic at a major publication like the New York Scroll. So when the New York Scroll does not hire her for their open food critic position and instead brings on a white guy, an Ivy League educated white guy whose name is literally Bennett Richard Malachester Wright, she's pretty pissed. Like, he sounds like a tool bag, right? Just by the name. So they both happen to be at this New York City Food Festival, and unplanned, she completely confronts him about his outdated opinions on social media, about the fact that he's not choosing the most revolutionary restaurants to review in his column. And she happens to capture it all on video and then posts it on her social media account. Well, what happens is her followers soar, and so do the followers for the New York Scroll. So the two of them very reluctantly decide to start doing some joint reviews to capitalize on all of this momentum and excitement from the public. What they find while eating just absolutely deliciously described food is that they have this incredible shared passion for food and restaurants. And they also happen to have this very undeniable and unwelcome attraction. It is so fun to read this. And I do issue one warning. Don't read this book without having food nearby. Just don't do it. You're going to be super hungry. The descriptions of the food are just unbelievable. I immediately wanted to eat the moment I started this book. And I just love that the author gives you like a real kind of peek into the restaurant world and some commentary on, who should really be, the restaurants that are reviewed. Why do we need to see a million restaurant reviews for that high-end, French restaurant with $100, a plate meals that most people can't even afford to go to once in their life, let alone regularly? It was just a really enjoyable book. And I like that it's very self-aware in how it talks about social media, and in a way that I think, didn't take itself too seriously, but is also very authentic. So incredibly enjoyable. And moving to the end of February, we have The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest. Now, I love a book about a book. And this is a book about books and the publishing world. So very fun. Lily Green is this shy and awkward young woman. And while she is in her dream industry, book publishing, she is not at all in her dream job. She is stuck as the editorial assistant to a nightmare of a nonfiction editor boss, when what she desperately wants is to be an editor of children's books. So, and I have to say, I have never worked for a person like her boss, nor worked with someone as awful as this boss. So I just want to put that out there, that all of publishing is not like this, because you are going to find this boss a nightmare. So Lily, poor Lily, she cannot stop comparing herself to her sisters, who really embody Black excellence. They're young, they're incredibly successful. One is a celebrity stylist, the other is an executive at a startup beauty brand. And here she is, can't even get a promotion. She finds escapism in an unusual relationship, a email friendship with her favorite fantasy author, N.R. Strickland, this very mysterious author. No information is out there about the author. She has no idea who the person is. All she knows is that this author's book about Black elves set in a fantasy world is one of the books that's captured her imagination like nothing else. And when you read a really, really good book, you let this author like into your mind, into your heart, sometimes literally into your bedroom, because that's where you're reading it. Like, you have all these feelings, and you could just imagine, like, if I met this author, we would be friends. The same things matter to us. So that's how she feels about this author. And then they start an email relationship. And how amazing is it that they're friends? And could they maybe be more? They decide to make a plan to meet when the author, who she calls Strick, says he's coming to town. And then right before they're supposed to meet, he completely ghosts her, and she is just crushed. Months later, she's still crushed, but she needs to find a date to her sister's wedding, and she refuses to deal with another setup from one of her siblings. Not going to happen. And she figures that her super hot new neighbor, Nick Brown, would be just the person to help her get a date. He can teach her how to flirt. Little does she know that super hot Nick Brown is actually N.R. Strickland, the author that she fell in love with and has broken her heart. Reminder of the title, The Neighbor Favor. Thank you, Kristin. So what happens? But poor Nick, he's like, oh gosh, I got to help this girl learn how to flirt when I'm the one that wants to be the date to her sister's wedding. But he also has his own reasons for pushing her away. But that doesn't last for long, because how could he not fall for wonderful Lily? What I really loved about this is how she weaves together, like kind of complicated family relationships, tidbits about publishing, this incredibly supportive relationship that Lily and Nick really do have, even with the secrets brewing between them. And I fell in love with it. It's so sweet. It's so heartwarming. And the discussion about books and about writing, it's chef's kiss. So can't recommend it enough. And then the final book that I'm going to recommend today is, this is a good one, guys. It's A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon by Sarah Hawley. This is Sarah's debut novel, and we are so excited to be publishing it. It's really, I feel like, been a while since we saw more kind of comedic paranormals, and Lana Harper, I think, really kind of launched us into this zone last year with Payback's a Witch. And so now I'm just really excited that we have more coming. So have you ever heard of a bad witch? And I don't mean evil. I'm talking like may have summoned a demon when trying to summon flour bad. And that's what you're going to get in this book. Also important to keep in mind that our witch, Mariel, summoned a super, super hot demon that is not leaving until he makes a bargain to take her soul. That's right. She summoned a soul bargaining demon, one that happens to have very sensitive horns, just as a for instance. And Mariel can't exactly explain to her family, who already thinks she's like the worst witch they've ever seen, that she beamed someone in from the demon realm by mistake. That's not going to fly. So Ozroth the Ruthless, because that's obviously his name, has to pretend to be her boyfriend to have a reason to stick around while attempting to convince her that they need to make this soul bargaining deal. And as it turns out, he doesn't have too much of a problem pretending to be her boyfriend. He actually kind of likes that a lot because she is funny and sexy and actually has some pretty incredible plant magic when her mom is not constantly breathing down her neck. Also, if you have a complicated relationship with your mother, you'll feel very seen by this one. It is laugh out loud funny. It's so sexy. And if you love authors like Lana Harper or Erin Sterling, this one's absolutely for you. Sarah also has a sequel coming up to this one toward the end of the year. So if you read this and fall in love, don't worry, we've got more coming. And now I will turn it over to Kristin for a couple of more books that I promise you're going to love.
Yes, so I have to apologize, similar to Erin, that my book recommendations are March and on. So very sorry, but add these to your TBRs immediately. I know you're going to love all of them. The first one I'm going to talk about is coming out March 21st, and that is Jane and Edward by Melody Edwards. Think a workplace romance meets a Jane Eyre retelling, and I don't know about you, but my heart is fluttering as I'm even saying that. I loved this one. I could not read it fast enough. I think I read like the first 50 pages when I should have been going to bed. So sorry, Erin, if I was very tired the next day in our meeting. So our main character, Jane. Life hasn't been easy to this young woman. Every season has been very difficult. She lost her father when she was really young. Her mom was never in the picture, so she's on her own. She needs to make money fast, doesn't really have an education, works at a diner. Then she hears of this school training certification to make her like an administrator at an office. And so she somehow, some way gets a bout of luck and gets a position at a very prestigious law firm as an assistant. So of course, life finally seems like things are getting better. She's finally on her feet. And then she meets her very, very, very grouchy boss, Edward. So grouchy, in fact, that he cannot keep an assistant. All of them have quit or have been fired, and people stay out of his way when he walks down the hallway. That's how grouchy he is. So needless to say, this is a grumpy meets sunshine trope to the absolute extreme. And one of my favorite parts is seeing how hard Edward ends up trying to break into Jane's shell because she's quiet. So she's a sunshine, but she's a quiet sunshine. And she only talks when she really has something to say. And I really love that in a character. It's a bit of a unique trait, I would say. She's not one to bite back, but when she does, there's a reason why. And it always catches Edward off guard. So they fall in love, and it is a fast-paced romance, and it really does hit the mark on every single romance trope that we love. There's so much complexity to each of these characters, and the growth that Jane makes from beginning to end is incredibly inspiring. I know the second you guys pick this one up, you won't be able to put it down, and I definitely think it deserves a spot at the top of your TBR. The next one I'm going to talk about, I hope you're ready and you have your fans on, because I'm already sweating just thinking about it. This is, drumroll, The Nanny by Lana Ferguson. This comes out April 14th. As a romance lover, I read a lot of spicy books, like a lot. But when I tell you that I was sweating when I read The Nanny, I had to put my Kindle down numerous times just to process what was happening, and I was blushing. And that does not happen, and it was the most incredible feeling ever. So we meet our grad student, Cassie. Dear old Cassie. She's in desperate need of a job, and she refuses to go back to her once very lucrative OnlyFans account. Yes, this book revolves around OnlyFans. So we learn very, very early on that something went down between Cassie and a mysterious man from OnlyFans who she may or may not have fallen for via private sexy cam sessions. Mm-hmm. So obviously she can't go back to that. Her heart has been broken. And then a position for a live-in nanny comes in, and of course she cannot refuse this. Enter Aiden, what we dub the DILF extraordinaire. He needs someone to watch his young daughter. Did I mention he's single? From the very beginning, the sexual tension is palpable, and it is not long before Cassie and Aiden realize that they know each other from one of Cassie's cam sessions. You already know what's about to go down, and when I say this book is steamy, you readers better buckle up, because I wasn't ready. I don't know if you're ready, but it is impeccable. So make sure you can, you're wearing layers, because you're not going to want to.
And I have to say, Kristin was still blushing the next day when she told me about her thoughts on reading it the night before. So
I'm
prepare
blushing
yourself.
a little now, honestly. So I have a bonus pick. And in case you missed it, so this is a book you can grab tonight if you'd like, as soon as we are done talking, or even while I'm talking. So we know and we love Ashley Herring Blake. And if you haven't heard of her before, then I'm about to change your life. Ashley came out with Delilah Green Doesn't Care in February 2022. And most recently, Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail this past November. Mm-hmm. Ashley's books focus on this group of 3 best girlfriends, all of whom are queer and coming to terms with their own sexuality in one way or another. Delilah Green Doesn't Care follows a badass photographer and a single mother / bookstore owner. Mm-hmm. Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail follows Delilah's very uptight stepsister, Astrid, and a carpenter who are both working on a home renovation reality TV show and constantly butting heads. Cue enemies to lovers. Mm-hmm. And very exciting that Ashley's next book in this world, Iris Kelly Doesn't Date, comes out fall 2023 and follows the final of the trio. Mm-hmm. Iris cannot be locked down, but when her girls are suddenly in love, she feels a little bit of FOMO, to say the least. And somehow, some way, she finds herself in a fake relationship, pretending to be in love until it doesn't feel pretend anymore. So we love fake dating. We love enemies to lovers. Ashley Herring Blake does it all. She's amazing. And she writes in such an inclusive way. Her rom-coms are accessible to readers of any sexual orientation, and I love that. She writes of love, and she embraces queerness. And this is one of our favorite girl gangs. We loved seeing what Ashley has already done, and we can't wait to see what is going to come from her.
And like when you read Ashley, I feel like imagine a Hallmark small town,
Yes.
but like better. Like
Yeah.
that, like that's how I would describe it.
I imagine
like in the best way.
Yes, full of really attractive people.
Oh, so many attractive people in this town.
I love it. And when I first read Delilah, I kept envisioning her outfits because there's like one scene where she's wearing this like black silk cami and black skinny jeans. And I was like, I could never pull that off. I wish I could.
She has an excellent sense of style, this one. Very true.
Absolutely. They're the best.
Well, Stephanie, if there's questions for us, like we're happy to answer them. Oh, Stephanie, you're muted. Like the story of our lives the past 3 years.
I was like, and who was trying to get away in 2023 without ever having that be said to them? I'm out of practice. Okay. So there's just like tons of excitement for everything you discussed.
Good.
I will start by saying I truly, while on this, in the background of this, texted one of my best friends and was like, oh my God, we all have to read The Nanny. This sounds right up our alley. And immediately she goes, oh, I loved it. It's so good. I already read it. And I was like, okay. And you didn't tell me? I'm hearing this from Kristin about like how the book is. And she was like, oh yeah, I saw that Twitter said it's like one of the spiciest things they've read lately. And so I bumped it up the TBR. I didn't tell you. And so I feel that you should already know that you have a beta reader out there who also fully endorses that is blush-worthy romance. So very thrilling. But all of these sound amazing for very different reasons. Just like some general comments from people. Courtney just said that she heard Witch's Guide and was sold. So you could have apparently just stopped the pitch right there. So everyone's excited about that. Neighbor Favor, I feel like really got people like, that's why we needed a reminder like halfway through where like some people who had joined us were like, wait, what is this book that you're talking about? So, which is like a month and a half is not the worst wait for us to have.
Right.
True. Is right around the corner. Yes. We can get there. And then Kristin, your description of Jane and Edward, someone's very excited about the grump sunshine.
It is like the most grump sunshine trope, honestly. It's like laughable because you're like, Edward, can you smile a little?
Which, like, I don't think he can. And I think that feels true to the original Jane Eyre. That is on par. So, well, and back to Sorry Bro of like, we talked about this a little bit in the green room, but I will like spoil that there's some excitement from the novel Neighbor of like, we've picked it for something in the upcoming months. And so some of our romance book club who's watching will be very excited as they are already excited in the comments. So I think they'll be excited to know that we are also excited about our debut author. So let's see if there's any more. Taylor Swift was like you said Taylor Swift, and that really got the people. I mean, way to start.
Honestly, I should put Kristin Cipolla, publicist, Taylor Swift stan. I think that should be like my signature at this point.
You were so quick with the Taylor Swift song recommendations.
Well, I put playlists in my pitches sometimes of like the Taylor songs to put with the books that I'm working on. So it's like right off the clutch.
Yeah. Incredible. I think the biggest question that maybe we can do like a quick run through of all the titles. And also, I wanted everyone to get the refresher of like the Neighbor Favor so they knew what it was, but we will email anybody who's watching if you registered, like the list of titles and pub dates. And I'll drop something in the comments on each of the feeds so that if you were listening and just trying to be in the moment, we'll make sure that you get the information of what all the titles were that were discussed tonight. I'm so sorry to say at this top, but I think a general question that seems to come up with like multiple of the titles you discussed, so maybe we can just do like a run through, is kind of wondering like spice meter on the titles, which ones maybe are closed door, which ones are open door, if we want to give some hints as to, I mean,
Yeah.
I hinted that the nanny seems like fully open.
Door is wide open. There
Door
are
is
no
wide
doors.
open.
No doors.
Yeah, a door never existed.
Never. From the very first page, no door.
Wow. And aren't we blessed for that? I mean, really. So.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah, maybe this will be like a good way to do like a wrap up of all the titles that we discussed and also adding in what we discussed. You two discussed. I got to listen to. And wrapping in maybe some of the spice meter around them.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to start,
Should we go in
Kristin?
order?
Yeah, let's go in order.
Okay. So Do I Know You by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca. A little spice, but not really open door at all. There's let's give it one flame or one pepper.
One pepper.
Out of 5. One pepper out of 5.
One pepper, one eggplant, whatever term you want to use.
One eggplant. Sorry Bro is also one eggplant. It's very tastefully done.
Yeah, I think best served hot because they are an enemies to lovers pairing as well. I would say that they build up a lot of tension and then we get a nice open door moment later on in the book. So yeah, they're like one pepper, one eggplant pairing. The neighbor favor, again, because she doesn't know who he is and he's not wanting to, like, he wants her to know who he is, but he also doesn't. So this is another, like, I really love a slow burn, and we have a lot of slow burns this season. So they're another, I would say like a solid pepper or eggplant. However, a witch's guide, we're talking multiple eggplants here, like for sure. I mean, he's got horns, like very sensitive horns. Okay.
Yes.
And she figures that out pretty quickly. I'm just putting that out there.
Maybe 2.5, maybe 2.5.
Yeah. I feel like that's accurate. I just also have to say that when I spoke about, like, I love a horn. I just can't help it. But when I got to talk about Ruby Dixon's like Ice Planet Barbarians, I still remember, because we do the trade paperback format, and I still remember like explaining this series to a reviewer for the first time. And I was like, so they're like blue horned in more ways than one aliens. And her jaw just like dropped. And she was like, oh, okay. I would like that. And then I explained them that way in a huge, like 400 person company meeting. And my boss was like, wow, you said that in front of 400 people. Thanks. He had a good sense of humor about it. He did realize it was very amusing. Now that's the way he describes it too. But I think in the moment he was like, oh, Erin had to say it that way, huh? I like some spice.
Love some spice. We love introducing people to Ice Planet Barbarians. Like whenever somebody comes in and is like, okay, like what if I wanted to get like I'm a new romance reader and I've like done my Emily Henry's, like I'm ready for like my next evolution of like what else does this genre have for me? And we're like, let us tell you.
When I read Ice Planet Barbarians, I tried to explain the plot to my husband that night, and he, similar to the reviewer Erin talked to, just looked at me with his jaw dropped and was like, I don't need to know what happens when you're working at all.
Amazing.
You and your work.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Spice levels. Speaking of, Jane and Edward, total closed door romance. So a half eggplant. While there isn't any open door scenes, there are things hinted at, and the chemistry between the characters is enough. And what your brain can come up with is very satisfying. I think, in my opinion. The nanny, I mean, 5 eggplants from the very beginning, because you get an insight into OnlyFans, and I won't say anything else on that.
Yeah.
And Ashley Herring Blake is, I would give 1 eggplant. Yeah. There's tension. There's some scenes, but it is not open door.
Yeah. And I feel like for Ashley, we probably can't do an eggplant. We would do like, I don't know. What would we do?
Well,
like water squirting? I don't know. That was a bit much for you all. I apologize.
That
know how to have a good time.
maybe
That's all I'm saying.
shouldn't. That analogy shouldn't be brought up in the staff meeting.
No. You're
Erin,
welcome.
We would love to invite you to St. Louis anytime. I mean, Kristin, obviously, both of you, but Erin, I just want you to know that you would fit right in St. Louis with that reference.
Perfect.
So,
Perfect.
yeah, crushing it. Yes, we are big Ashley Herring Blake stans.
Good.
We have talked about her books a ton. They are always one of our bestsellers. So I know people are anxiously awaiting their next one because they devoured the first two. So
Amazing.
I'm super excited that we're getting it this year.
Yeah, it's going to be so great. It'll be like the completion of the trio. And we want Iris to get her happily ever after.
Me too. Ugh. There's something in that series for everybody. That's what we love about it so much. Is that like I feel like Delilah and Astrid are so different, and their stories get to take place in so different that like if you, I don't know, we always like warn people too. We're like, if one of the tropes in one of them was not for you, like you still should check out like the other one because she actually really gives everybody like something. So
and she explores sexual exploration in such different ways for each of the main characters, and that's what I love because I think that is what inclusivity is down to its T. Delilah is open in her sexuality, and she is unashamed of it. Astrid is coming to terms with her sexuality, and Iris is loud and very proud. And I cannot wait to see just how this all unfolds, because obviously the themes of oneself and identity are so important in Ashley's books, and it's just very beautifully done.
Yeah.
This actually might be the perfect question to like end on, which I really think, I mean this in a nice way to the person who's commenting this, but I just want to preface that. I feel like while they have you, people are trying to get more book recs out of you.
Fair.
I think this question is in earnest of if you can share, because we know that you guys get books like super, super ahead of time, but can you share like what you're reading now, or like another book that's like up on your TBR if you just finished something? Like what can you share with us that kind of just gives everybody a teaser to end on?
Do you want me to go first, Kristin, or do you want to?
I can go first because actually it's fresh on my mind. I just finished it the other night. It comes out in September. It is called Witch of Wild Things. So it is without, I don't want to give away too much because I want to tease you all as romance lovers do. It is witchy. Our main character has a gift with flowers and just anything that grows, really. It is like a second chance romance. There's tension between sisters. So sisterhood is a big theme. Strength, growth, grief. I'd give it 1.5 to 2 eggplants. It gets a little spicy, and it ends on a very lovely note. I teared up a little bit. It's called Witch of Wild Things on September 12th. Yeah. And I will not say anything else. You have to all look it up or add it to your TBRs.
So mine is interesting because this one has like held me in a grip for months now because I read it when it came in on submission. And I was so excited. I was supposed to have dinner. I was supposed to pack. I was going to a friend's house. I had like all these things I needed to do that evening. And I started reading this manuscript because the editor said, can you just read a couple chapters and let me know if like you feel as strongly about the book as I do? And I said, oh, sure, I'll dip in. Famous last words, I'll dip in. I read the entire thing that night and I got packed so late that night. The book is called First Position. It's by Melanie Hamrick. Melanie is a former professional ballerina. And this is like a really, really dark, sexy look at the ballet world. It's not a romance in the classic sense. There is a happy ending. So I do want to put that out there. But it's, how would I describe this? I would describe it as like the main character's like journey of like rediscovering herself. She was a very talented young ballerina. She's only like in her early 20s when the book begins. But when her career started, she was, 18, 19, normal time to join a company, very formative point in a young woman's life. And she is taken advantage of by an older male member of the company. And her reputation and career wind up being really quite destroyed. And 4 to 5 years later, she's really struggling with, like, dance is the only thing she knows how to do. She's still got more talent in her pinky finger than most people in the company, but she isn't like really working as hard as she ought to be. She's not getting great parts. She's constantly being yelled at by the choreographer, and she just kind of doesn't care about anything anymore. And I mean, when we're talking, you get the spice immediately, you get it immediately, because literally she is, I'm just going to go for broke and tell you, she is on stage doing her rehearsal. This is very early on in the book. It's like chapter 1 or 2. I'm just putting that out there. And, things are not going well. She gets dismissed from the stage. She's out sitting in the audience in the dark. It's kind of a break. And there is a hot man, like, in the back of the theater, and hot man makes sure she has a good time in the back of the theater during this break. Okay. And then after said good time is had, the lights start to come up, and he walks up to the stage because this is going to be the guest lead performer for this season that she has just allowed to go down on her before the season begins. Great. Clearly her career is just on fire. So that's where we start. And what I will say about this book is it's like Black Swan meets Center Stage. So, like, you get like the darkness, you get that like sneak peek into the dance world. And I do want to like share, like, this is dark. This is not like a happy book, but if you appreciate like a really angsty read, and if you appreciate like an uplifting ending, like, I do think that you're going to appreciate this book. And I mean, the ballet world is so sexy as it is. And then you get like a peek behind the curtain. I don't know how else to describe this other than, like, once you start it, it will be very difficult for you to stop. And I felt this way. Everybody else I've talked to, like, in the company, feels this way. And I sent it out for a super, super sneak preview to a trusted reviewer the other day. And she literally wrote to me. She was like, I started it this morning. I literally sent my husband out of the house to go watch a game with his friends, and I would not leave. I stayed and I kept reading. And I was like, yes. So First Position by Melanie Hamrick. Just want you to put that out there. It is releasing in June. And then final little teaser is, if you like the spice, you probably love Katie Robert, and you might have heard that we just acquired a series from Katie, original series, and the first book called Hunt on Dark Waters we are planning for it to be out at the end of this year. And I mean, we're talking like sexy paranormal pirates. So
yes.
Get ready.
The paranormal is back, baby. And we're not ready.
I mean, Katie, just like, that's really all that needs to be said. It's Katie Robert, there's pirates. It's going to be a good time.
We are so excited. Yes. St. Louis are huge Katie Robert stands. She is coming here in August for different series, but yes. I know that everybody will be. I already heard all of the chatter and excitement of all of us keeping. We were all very in tune with the fact that you acquired this series.
Excellent.
We were very thrilled about it.
Yay!
Kristin, I totally agree with you. Like, paranormal is back and we're all stoked, but also like pirates are really having a resurgence. And so it's amazing. Like, after we get both in the same.
I want to see pirates do filthy things.
Yes.
Yes. I know. I do keep reading like great pirate books that are like more just like in the fiction category. Then I'm like, but what if you had sex? What if you had
that is how I feel about most things in life. Like, What if you had sex? I
Yeah,
think it
could
would
we just
change
add that?
everything. Yeah.
Like, I can even give you the notes of like where I think that it would fit. Like, if you just need to
Yeah.
drop like a couple pages in, we
Yeah.
can just
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
It's fine. Oh my gosh, Paranormal Pirates, like, is there a better ending note?
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. So I've taken notes on all of our titles. Like I said, we'll make sure that they get dropped in the comments so everybody can check them out and make sure that you know exactly who was discussed this evening. Truly, Kristin, Erin, thank you so much. This was so fun to hear your excitement for the books, to hear what we have to look forward to. I feel like in January, also everybody is like planning their TBRs and like planning out like what fits with what challenges. And so I feel like I saw so many things tonight that made me be like, oh, that fits for that challenge that someone is doing. So really just so much fun. Thank you both so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having us. This was a true pleasure. And now, like, obviously, we're somehow going to have to get out to St. Louis because I want like a Queer Witch ice cream sandwich. Honestly, I want to go to this fun bar and I want to talk about dirty books with all of you because this is very fun.
Yeah, literally, my Instagram bio is that I like ice cream and books. So I think,
oh my gosh, yes,
we have to figure this out.
We need to hook you guys up with Sugar Witch. Yes, and it's like every Sugar Witch ice cream sandwich is named after a witch. So whenever like Elphaba like has a sandwich, like yeah, everybody gets something. And so we've done some special themed ones. So I'm like already thinking about some of these like witch books that are coming out. So we'll be thinking. They do really great curation of taste, flavors, and all the things. So
amazing.
And also just want to say thank you to everyone who is watching. We are so excited that you tuned in this evening. Please, we will leave this link up so that you can share this out. If you want your friends to know about some of these books that are coming out because you guys want to read them together for book club or for buddy reads or whatever, please feel free to share this out with everybody. We just want to spread the news about all of these amazing Berkley titles. So a special thank you. And a last thank you to Kristin and Erin again. And we will see everybody. Actually, perfect time to plug. Final evening is that next January the 18th, we have a launch event for a book that is not a Berkley title. But the reunion by Kayla Olson. However, Kayla is going to be joined by the authors of Do I Know You, which was the very first book that Kristin talked about this evening. And I know that they are, like Kristin said, they're a married couple, Emily and Austin, and they're just incredible. And they are going to they will be discussing Do I Know You on it. So it's amazing. Like one of those 2-for-1 special event. So if you got excited about the first one that Kristin talked about, please tune in next Wednesday on this same channel, and you will get to hear them talk about their book along with Kayla Olson. So,
and think of Taylor Swift songs before you come to it.
Listen to Paris per Kristin's recommendation.
Yes.
Okay, that is it. We are out for this evening. Thank you so much, everyone, and we'll see you next week, maybe.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good night. Thanks so much for having us.